Hello everyone, it's Brian with the Cost of Crypto. It's been a while. Right now it's January of 2022, and the last time I'm looking that I had published was way back in August. And since then, a lot has happened, and a lot hasn't happened since then. So I'm just going into some free thoughts as far as where we're at, what's happened, and where we might be headed. Doing a recap, what has happened since August of 2021? Well, we've had El Salvador go live with Bitcoin as a legal currency running parallel to the US dollar in their country. We recently had Strike, just the other day. Their app has gone live in Argentina. It's not the same setup as in the US, and they're using Tether, which they actually originally used in the US to help facilitate transactions, but they are live and it does give people in Argentina an option and an exit ramp outside of the Argentine dollar. We've had regulation coming down from the US federal government, and since then we've had follow-up legislation, conversation, hearings to help further define what the cryptocurrency, what Bitcoin is, and give more clarity and definition within the legal spaces in the United States at the federal level to what cryptocurrency would be, how participants, what hurdles they'll have to deal with, what the boundaries are, what the guide rails are. So that's in process, and we'll see where that's at. We have seen, I think Coinbase already went public. We've seen mining take a hit from China and recover. We've seen that going and running strong. We have seen other political jurisdictions within the United States, namely Miami, Nashville, Tennessee, New York City, at least as far as their new mayor, where municipalities are starting to invest in Bitcoin and using that as an asset on their books and cryptocurrency when you're going into Miami, I believe it's called Miami Coin, where people who are forward thinkers and see the value propositions of these protocols are looking to add that to their balance sheet, to their municipalities, to the population within those boundaries and introduce it to them. We have seen numerous projects come up. Solana's the big one. NFT art, we have seen that become a big thing. We've got all the chatter with Web3 and the metaverse. So it's all the new things coming about, the new projects, the new hot things. We've seen a lot more going on in the DeFi space. Ethereum continues to evolve slowly but surely towards the 2.0, which if they can get the gas prices to a more sensible level, that network needs them badly. And we're seeing a lot more adoption, a lot more regulation, a lot more examination of central bank digital currencies, CBDCs going on. We're seeing a lot more regulation, a lot more legal definition that's coming into play. So it's a very slow but steady process where more people, more actors, more participants are getting involved, and the overall ecosystem is starting to grow in network effect. Sort of in parallel, looking at the implementation of these projects, of these protocols. If I'm going to focus, say, like on Bitcoin and Ethereum and the smart contract platforms, if we look at the price action over the last, what we're looking at is we had, let me bring up the charts here so I can reference this properly. We've had the price fluctuate between 60K and 40K. During the summer, after it had hit into the 50s, we had that drop where it went down into the 30s, made its way back up into the 40s, climbed back up into the 60s, and then since October, November's been that slow decline to where we're at today in the low 40s. When you think about it, the price action, you could say, oh, 40K. There are people who are panicking about that, saying Bitcoin's going to die. But if you go back just 2 years ago, or 3 years, or even in 2017, early 2018, when the price of Bitcoin had dipped from 20K and was making its way back down into the teens, 40,000 was a number that was theoretical or wishful thinking. It was one of those things where even myself, I would take what I knew about the crypto space and the potential of Bitcoin, the potential of cryptocurrencies within the realm of human activity, and I would write down on paper, okay, if I buy XYZ amount of Bitcoin every week, at 10,000, it'll be worth this much. At 20,000, it'll be worth this much. At 50,000, it'll be worth this much. At 100,000, it'll be worth this much. And that 50 and 100,000 seemed like theoretical ether, like it might get there, but there's no way of knowing. Well, having read all that I've read in the last 4 years, having listened to the podcasts and a lot of smart people from a very diverse range of backgrounds talking about crypto, talking about Bitcoin, looking at it in a much deeper fundamental and philosophical and practical aspect within the scope of human activities and everything that we do, from financial to interactive online behavior. Those numbers aren't as theoretical anymore. It's something where you feel deep down, at least I do, that it's a certainty, it's going to grow. Then when you take another step back and you look at where we're at with development, implementation, I think of the space, and specifically Bitcoin, like a very, very large glacier. It's something that, because it encompasses the entirety of humanity, it moves very slowly. It's not like a small group of people that can move very quickly and very nimbly. It's something that takes time. It's something where there's so many details involved that the changes happen because something happens in a country in Africa, a country in South America, a country in Asia, a country in North America, or the wealthier nations of Europe or Asia, where they're small, somewhat isolated incidents, but it's something that adds to the overall network effect. The price of Bitcoin is reflected accordingly, where the overall long-term trend is this slow grinding movement higher and higher as more people get involved and participate. It's going to have its hard spikes and hard drops. Just look at 2021. We saw that twice. Up, down, up, down. But look at where we're at. Someone pointed out a year ago, Bitcoin was riding upwards to 30K, new highs. And on the fear and greed index, which is just basically just a measure of sentiment, how they derive it, I don't know. I don't know all the metrics. But in that index, we were on the extreme greed. It was the upside. Everyone was buying in. They were FOMOing, fear of missing out. And so 30K was on the high side. And now that we've been higher, we've been to 50K, 60K, and now we're back down to 40, that fear and greed index is on the fair side. But think about it from a psychological standpoint. It's all a matter of perspective. I think I said one of my early first Cost of Crypto podcasts, it's all a matter of perspective, because today's 40K was 2018's 5K, 2019's 10K. 2017's 2K, 2000, 1000. But when you look at the overall trend, it's upwards. It just had a lot of up and down, hard spikes, hard drops. But before I go on, I want to take a brief pause with a word from our sponsor. And I was reading a report that Huobi, the exchanges, I'm not sure if they're Chinese exchanges or where they're based out of. They had a report. I posted it in the most recent weekly updates, and I might do a separate post on it. It's basically just a short 15-page slideshow. It's called the Crypto Perception Report 2022, published in January. I don't know if for their sample size, they had like 3,000 respondents. I don't know if it's people on their platform, people, where the people came from, their demographics. But it was like roughly people, US adults, 18 and over, half men, half women. And one of the things that they found out about crypto is like they ask them questions like how knowledgeable they consider themselves to be, different terminologies and different things they've heard of before, like NFTs, metaverse, DeFi, DAOs. The one thing that I find interesting that kind of ties in with this is that when you're looking at things from perspective, roughly 70% of these people surveyed have been involved in the space and actually own crypto, whether it's they bought it off an exchange, they used an ATM, they're buying it using PayPal or Robinhood, or in some sort of a service where it's custodial and you can't take self-custody. Even if it's that, roughly 70% of the people surveyed began investing in crypto within the last 12 months. Think about that. I'm going to go through the numbers like they're saying. 3 months or less, 12%. 3 to 6 months, 29%. 6 to 12 months, 27%. 1 to 2 years, 21%. 2 to 4 years ago, 12%. 4 more years ago, 9%. 1 in 10 have been in this space since before the 2017 bull market. Just under 20%, 1 in 5, were involved in the space since the last bear market, which was 2018, 2019. And then the remaining 80% have been involved in the last 2 years. So their experience is very unique. And right now, 2021, and where we are today, this is their seasoning. Like for myself, I really got involved in the space in 2017. And so for me, the bear market of 18, 19, that was my seasoning. That's where you find out what you're really made of. Are you really built into this market? And then you go through the cycles, the ups, the downs, and you truly learn it. And it's the same thing with a lot of the people in the last 12 months. And it's also a different group too, because you've got a lot of people brought in by the meme coins, what I call the social tokens, like your Dogecoin, your Shiba Inus, whatever hot DeFi project or NFT. You have people brought in, a lot of different ways, but they're involved in the space. And looking at the survey, there's a lot of education that, just like everyone else, they're all looking to educate themselves. There's a lot that they feel they need to learn. And that's okay, because it's going to be like that. Because eventually what's going to happen is Bitcoin's going to hit some upward waves. It's going to go through several months of upward movement, if not many months. That's going to attract a new wave of people, and the cycle begins anew. People are going to be coming new to the space. They're going to be learning about it. They'll be learning about self-custody. They'll be learning about the different protocols. They're going to be learning about decentralization. They're going to be learning about all kinds of things, layer 1, layer 2 applications, layer 3 applications, the Lightning Network. There was one of the slides on here, it says reasons why people invest in crypto. 40% of the respondents said long-term investment potential. 18% said short-term investment potential. 27% said general interest, and the rest was like fear of missing out, people recommending it. But when you look at that, 40% see a long-term potential. Whatever their education level, they have somewhere that seed that says this has legs, this has potential. You know, we look at the internet to use as a parallel comparison, and that was something which grew incrementally, where first it was software protocol, then it was the websites themselves. That was going through a process of refinement, where if you think about the internet, if you were alive back then in the 90s, where you had chat rooms and you had early Yahoo, and you had message boards and Yahoo groups, which would be the equivalent of blogs, and how bloggers and people who were essentially sharing their thoughts as an online journalist, more or less, they didn't have an effect until, oh gosh, I don't remember if it was the late 90s or early 2000s, where it was noted when Jesse Ventura won the election as governor of Minnesota. It was noted how a lot of online bloggers influenced the race and had a tangible effect as far as perception and consensus, and what people thought and the information that they got. You look at commerce sites and how you had to develop online encryption, how you're doing all the back end data saving, the backup, the security. You look at just all the different things that step by development step led to the World Wide Web where we are today, where look at how much of our digital life is on the internet. Look at how much of what we do. I mean, things like rideshare, food delivery. There's so many things that we can do online that we couldn't do back when. Look at online commerce and the sites like that, like Amazon stock, the software stock. Anyone involved with Linux that can add value to it and is public. The operating system, Microsoft, the physical hardware used like Cisco systems, all the software companies that provide services that rely on the internet. All these things were built little by little, and like that glacier, you had some rapid movement, you had some slow movement, you had ups, you had downs, but the innovation and the development and the people coming into space continue to grow. And it's going to be the same with these decentralized and semi-decentralized protocols, the smart contract platforms, with Bitcoin, with all the other applications that deal with tokenization, aka non-fungible tokens, NFTs, with decentralized finance, with Web3, with metaverse, all these things. And right now, you can get in early. You can start doing dollar cost averaging and little by little, week by week, start building up that portfolio. So, I mean, where we're at overall is things continue to move. It's a slow, painstaking process to live through because a lot of people, like myself, we can see the potential of where this can go and the different ways it can steer human behavior and change a lot of the systems that we have today. And so when we see where it can go, it requires a lot of patience to get there because a lot needs to get built in order for us to reach that point. But that said, all we can do is continue to educate ourselves, learn about new things as they come up, stay abreast of events, and keep accumulating cryptos. This isn't investment advice, but if a friend were to ask me what I'm doing, that's what I would tell them. So, this went a different direction than I thought it would, but that's okay. I think I'm going to wrap this one up here. We're hitting a good time mark. Thanks for listening, everyone. And you can follow along with TINYCRYPTOBLOG. Every Sunday, I have a high-level post where I have tweets, articles, and any other relevant information to help you see the big picture and understand the much larger trends going on in the crypto space. And then once a week, I'll share a good interview or post that I've seen. Same thing. It's intelligent minds that help expand your perspective beyond Bitcoin go up, crypto go up type of stuff, so you can see the bigger picture and educate yourself and understand things in a much larger context. So you can follow along at tinycryptoblog.com. If you have a WordPress account, you can follow that way. Otherwise, you can subscribe by email, and when the posts come out, they'll go straight to your inbox. You can also follow along on Twitter, Facebook, and then less so, I'm on numerous other platforms. Got the video platforms, not making as much content, but this will be on all the platforms. And with that, I'll close out by saying, be well, everyone. Talk to you soon.